Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 4. Today we're doing another seasonal championship. This one's called Rally Oop, which I think is a reference to basketball because there's like a move called Alley Oop or something like that, I think. But nonetheless, yeah, we're going to be in classic rally cars in C-Class. I think there's only a few in there though, so yeah, we're not going to have much to choose from, but hopefully they're varied enough to at least be interesting to drive. So yeah, let's get there in this really rather fantastic Alpha.
Turn left.
Which is one of my favourite cars to recently be put in by the festival playlist. So let's see which cars we're going to be choosing from.
You have arrived at your destination.
Championship at Horizon in summer. What more could you want?
So you can win the Ford GT70 by doing this championship, and yeah, we've got the Lancia Stratos, Renault Alpine A110 and the Volvo 242 Turbo to choose from. So yeah, really rather varied. Obviously they're all rear wheel drive, they're all in the same kind of class, and yeah, broadly have the same kind of power, but yeah, their engines are all in different places. The Lancia is mid-engine, the Alpine is rear-engined, and the Volvo is front-engined, and yeah, varying kinds of weights as well, with the Alpine being the lightest by a significant margin and the Volvo being the heaviest by a significant margin. It's more than £1,000 heavier than the Lancia, so yeah, I think we'll go for the Renault to start with. We'll work our way up in terms of power, so let's start with that. So yeah, 123 horsepower from a 1.6 litre, I think it's a flat 4, maybe an inline 4 engine, but yeah, still plenty of power considering it doesn't even weigh all that much, and it's got really rather good handling and braking, and it's also really rather small, so that adds to its lightness to make it really rather agile. So let's see what it can do. The best of launches, to be honest, but fairly decent acceleration. Come on, gain on them. Hopefully they'll get a bit bunched up and slow themselves down. A fellow Renault in front. I've clearly gotten a good start, keeping away from the pack. Come on. Gaining on third place despite going up a hill, which just shows we have a fair bit of grunt despite not being all that powerful. Like at least a podium position, to be honest. Many corners left. So Lancia Fulvia in second and the Renault in first. We eventually caught up to the leader, but not in time to gain first place. But yeah, second is pretty decent, especially considering we're easily the least powerful car here, probably. Maybe the Fulvia is a little bit less powerful, depends on the upgrades that they've given it. But nonetheless, two Renaults in first and second, the Lancia Fulvia in third, and a pair of Talbot Sunbeams in fourth and fifth. Not very, you know, encouraging that the Lancia Stratos and two Volvos are in a, well, just in the top 10, a pair of them, and one of the other Volvos is out of the top 10, especially considering they're the only other two cars we get to choose from. But nonetheless, let's get on to the second race and see what happens. So second place with the Renault was fairly decent, but obviously could have done a little bit better. So we're going to move on to the more powerful Lancia Stratos now, which was arguably a even more successful rally car than the Renault. Doesn't quite have as much in the way of it handling apparently, but more in terms of the way of speed, acceleration, launch, and the braking is just as good. So yeah, hopefully the handling won't hinder us too much, but it has more power, 190 horsepower, 165. Compared to the 123 and 106 for the Renault, but it does also have more in the way of weight. But it is a little bit more balanced, and it does have the larger engine as well, 2.4 litre V6 from Ferrari. So yeah, it should do us well here, I hope. It is probably my favourite of the three cars that we're getting to choose from as well today, but yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best to choose from, or all that successful here either. It's raining as well, which is obviously going to reduce grip that we've got to go play with. We're on a circuit this time, not a point to point. Definitely sounds better though, the engine in this compared to the Renault. Got some higher revving. Probably the trickier of the three to drive, purely because it's a bit more like a sports car or supercar than the other two, so it's a little bit more nervous, a little bit more twitchy. It's also pretty quick as well. Probably strikes a better balance than the other two in terms of between power and weight. Gained first quite easily. It'll be a struggle, but it's all about trying to keep first place. Which, to be honest, is easier said than done when you consider that we're against a far more easy car to drive, like the Volvo, which also has more power, but it also has more in the way of weight to play with. So yeah, that power may well not be as useful as it might sound. Although I'm sure it gives it the Volvo a higher top speed. That is really not going to come into play on this circuit. To slide around this as well, but we're leaving the rest of the drivers for dead, really. idea why they struggled so much in the previous race for another driver tar. And like Fiat, this shows that Ferrari were a little bit incompetent when it came to them using this same V6 engine. This is the engine from the Dino. It's put to far better use in this and the Fiat Dino. I think that's why we have yet to see another Ferrari with a V6 engine. Purely because I think I'm worried they probably would mess it up again. Although I doubt that would be the case these days. Especially given the Alfa Romeo have been using an engine derived from a Ferrari's V8 as a V6. Is a really rather good engine, by the way, so I'd imagine Ferrari would kill it if they eventually did bring a V6 out, but I'm not expecting one anytime soon. But regardless, we have won with the Stratos, beating what we did last time and coming, 10 places higher than the last time a Stratos was raced against us or on this episode, so yeah, that's fairly impressive. Also have well, we don't actually have the quickest lap time there, I think, because the Stratos is a little bit tricky to keep under control consistently, whereas the Escort from 1973 is a far easier car to drive. But regardless, that gives us 20 points, meaning that we're drawn right alongside a Volvo 242 Turbo, 8 points ahead of the Sunbeam, and a massive 19 points ahead of an Escort from 77, and 20 points ahead of a Forza. So yeah, regardless, let's get on to the third and final race. So the Stratos gave us our first win of this championship, so hopefully the more powerful Volvo will give us our second win, as we need it, being drawn alongside another person in this championship. So yeah, it's not really the best in any regards outside of the braking with this. The launch is worse than the previous two, acceleration and handling is worse than the previous two, and despite that being the most powerful with 225 horsepower and 250 pounds-feet of torque, it's apparently got the joint worst top speed as well, though I imagine it's easier to get to its top speed than, say, the Stratos because of how much power it's got. But it also weighs the most as well, more than 1,000 pounds over the Stratos, and yeah, good 1,600 pounds nearly more than the Renault as well. So yeah, but I feel like this is going to be the easier car to drive out of the other two, out of the three that we've got to choose from overall. Probably because it does have that weight, and it is a Volvo at the end of the day. It's meant to be safe while obviously being quite powerful at the same time, and no safe car is going to be a bad handling car, so well, that's the theory anyway. So yeah, I'm hoping that this can succeed here. Luckily we are on a point-to-point race, so it's hopefully going to be able to make the most of that power. Hopefully weight does not make this a difficult car to win with. The other thing is, obviously with more power comes the difficulty of getting that power down onto the road, which is made all the worse by being off-road like this. don't underestimate that Talbot Sunbeam that's behind us either. Just because it looks unassuming does not mean it's slow or bad to drive, because it really isn't. It's easily one of the better cars from the 70s that we have on this game, to be honest. And this lump of Swedish lead is struggling to gain any more places. Where is the power? Come on. More than 200 horsepower and you've got 250 pound-feet of torque, and it's just not really being transferred to any kind of speed. We are gaining now, but only because the driver does seem to struggle with that corner there. Got a couple of formidable Fords up front. 2 versions of the Escort, in fact. Which are significantly lighter than we are. And depending on the upgrades, might not even be all that less powerful. This has been easy to drive. It's not difficult whatsoever. It's just a bit frustrating that we've got all this power and torque and we're just not able to use it properly. And we're looking that we're going to come in second. Yeah. This has the power on tarmac in a straight line, but obviously we don't have enough of that on that point-to-point course to really make the most use out of that. So yeah, behind the Escort from 77, head of 2 Escorts from 73 and a fellow Volvo. And yeah, we lose out to the Escort by 4 points, unfortunately, for the championship. But we are 10 points ahead of another Escort, and then it's a massive gulf between 3rd and 4th in terms of points, even more so in terms of 5th. But yeah, unfortunately, did not win that championship, which is a bit of a shame, because yeah, I do like all 3 of the cars, but yeah, that Volvo was just a little bit outclassed in terms of putting its power down onto the road, especially when it came to the off-road elements. But yeah, regardless, if you do win the championship, unlike me, you do get the Ford GT70, which is a great car. It's not the first time you've been able to get it, but you know, if you haven't had the chance to get it before, then yeah, now is the perfect time, because it is a great car that unfortunately never got the chance to prove itself. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.